the first president was detained, and then he came from Kapenguria and then came and became the president of Kenya. So that's the same Kapenguria where, you know, my father's home is. Coming from the School of Mathematical Sciences, we rarely get representation in the pageant. I know it's something out of the ordinary to think that I would become a beauty queen or a pageant queen. There was a time I cried because the pressure was getting really intense. But I can say that was one of the experiences that shaped me as a person.
You just need to make sure you give your best.
Yes.
It's always not winning in pageantry. You win and lose, but what do you get out of the contest? Then you went for a bigger pageant.
Yes.
And I was watching you on KTN that day, and you won, and I was up the roof. She did it. This is what we were waiting for.
Yes.
Thank you so much, viewers. 2025 has just started with so much psych. I can't even believe it. We're already in March. SASH STYLE is back, bigger and better. I'm gonna bring the best of the best in the industry, and we start with such a pretty beautiful model, entrepreneur, and just an event manager planner. I don't know how to introduce her, but she's gonna let the viewers know who exactly she is.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited. And my name is Sarah Pkyach, and I'm a model, a fashion model. And I've majored in pageantry as well as high fashion. And I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also a philanthropist. And I just ventured into event coordination and strategy. So generally, I'm a creative as well as a young person trying to make an impact in this country's industry, especially in the fashion business.
Wow. Yeah. Very beautiful introduction. I told you I can't introduce better than she could.
Thank you.
One of the things people will ask me, I told them we'll grow gradually. We're going to go international. But as I said, when I travel around this country, I'll find Otieno, Wanjiro, Kamau, Khadija, and actually know where they're coming from. Your name doesn't give me that opportunity of knowing where you come from. Somebody would say probably you come from Asia. One time this minister for agriculture went to China and his name was Kip Chung. I was like, are you one of us? This name sounds like us. Where do you come from?
Okay, I get that a lot.
Yes.
And given my physique, also I'm very tall, I'm very dark, but I tell everyone I'm Kenyan. Most of the time people think I'm South Sudanese because of the way my name is pronounced. It's Pkyach. When they see me, they think I'm South Sudanese, but if they just read my name, they think I'm Russian. But I come from West Pokot County in Kenya. And, you know, just as you said, all Luo's names start with an O, and, you know, Kalenjins have a Kip or a Chep, but for Pokots, we have a P before our names, and that P is always silent.
Wow, I keep learning new things every day. I say you can never be, you can never learn everything at the same time, but keep learning. So that's why it's West Pokot. There's a P in Pokot.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And today we just want to engage. SASH STYLE is about talking, making sure we learn about the industry, teach each other about the industry. So, Pkyach, we first met and engaged during Mr. and Miss University. I remember those juicy story about you coming from Pokot and coming to the higher institution in Nairobi.
Yes.
And having a very handsome Pokot man that took you through this process. Tell us about coming from the village and coming to Nairobi and taking over as a queen in one of the biggest university.
So I was born in West Pokot, actually, in a village called Murkujit. That's where my father's... Murkujit. That's in Kapenguria. That's my father's home.
But I know Kapenguria, where Kapenguria, the Kapenguria 7.
Exactly, yeah.
Stuff, yes.
Yeah. That's where the first president was detained, and then he came from Kapenguria and then came and became the president of Kenya. So that's the same Kapenguria where, my father's home is. And my village is actually called Kacheliba, Sangakai. So Kacheliba is one of the marginalized areas in Kenya. So it's semi-arid, very hot. We get temperatures to about 40.
Whoa.
Yeah, and very dry. And we have, very few people are educated. Unfortunately, we have scarcity of resources like water, and it's a place of hardship, I must say. So coming from my origins, I know it's something out of the ordinary to think that I would become a beauty queen or a pageant queen. So through my journey, I went through education. I went to boarding school, then high school. When I came to high school in Form 1, that was my first time coming to Nairobi. And I studied in Mount Lavena Girls in Kasarani. It's a private institution. Yeah. And from Mount Lavena, now I got into campus. I went to Jomo Kenyatta University, JKUAT. And I remember I joined campus when I was 17 years. Yeah.
And like where you come from, people don't go to school that early. This is a shock.
Yes.
This is a shock.
Yeah. I skipped a few classes.
And made it to one of the best institutions of technology.
Yeah.
You must be a smart girl.
Yeah.
Tell us about the classes that you skipped.
So I skipped nursery school.
No.
And then also being a tall girl.
Yeah.
I fit into the higher classes very easily, and I'm a fast learner by nature. So that gave me like a 2-year head start in education. And my parents were also very supportive. Growing up, I loved reading books. I loved exploring. I was very adventurous. So it also helped my learning experience. So when I got into JKUAT, I was admitted and I was taking a course in biostatistics, which is mostly like data analysis, medical research, and, just stuff about maths. So I was admitted in the School of Mathematical Sciences, and I went through first year, second year, and then now I remember there was always the Miss JKUAT event happening in school, and this was the biggest event in campus. And then coming from the School of Mathematical Sciences, we rarely get representation in the pageant. So I remember my classmates, after class, they were like, "Hey, Sarah, there's Miss JKUAT." I'm like, "No, I didn't know." "Yeah, it's happening. Actually, this weekend, everyone is going for castings. You should go." And I'm like, I've never really thought about being a model. I've never walked in heels because, the notion about tall girls, and then people are like, "Why are you wearing 6-inch heels? Where are you going?" So, I remember that Saturday I was in my house. I used to live out off campus, and my classmates came and they knocked on my door. They're like, "Sarah, we told you should go for this thing, so come." So I went. I didn't have heels. I didn't have anything, but they all just went and borrowed shoes. They borrowed we were to wear a white t-shirt and black leggings. Yeah. So they got me everything. They were like, "You have no excuse."
The beautiful friends.
Very good friends. So I went and I did an audition, and I got it. My first time wearing heels, I was very scared, but I did
imagine.
it. Yeah. And then, and I'm very grateful to JKUAT because their program assisted in helping newbies like me, very green. So we had catwalk training sessions, presentation, public speaking. That went on for a month before the final competitions. So when we were competing, we were on the same level.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think one of the, like I said, very helpful.
Yeah.
I remember JQuat, USAU, KCA, some of the few universities that actually have learned the art of pageantry, where it's not just about the catwalk, it's about off the catwalk.
Yes.
So we move, and you're in Mr. and Miss University, and you come and find already probably 20 other universities of
Yes.
Mr. and Miss.
Yeah.
Some of them very, very new into the pageantry. Probably they just had friends who pushed them into pageantry without learning, because their school doesn't take them through training. So you're coming in with a platform where you know the inner beauty, what it takes. Most people go into pageantry thinking it's just the outer beauty.
Yeah.
Tell me, at that point where you came from Mr. and Miss University and found a different crop of people that are training totally different, probably because you already had learned some things, it was much easier to get into the pageant circle. A lot of people don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Could you just take us through what you learned, how it helped you be who you are today? From the Jomo Kenyatta to now your pageant season.
So I remember very well, it was very challenging at first, especially starting from JQuat. Pageantry and doing pageant competitions is more than just beauty, it's leadership. And for a leader, you're instilled the values of being well-spoken, being presentable, being objective in making decisions, and very quick on your feet. Because, you know, pageant competitions, most of the time they ask you questions off the bat, and you need to be very confident. And given my personality then, I was almost like a nerd and with very few social skills. Yeah. And then I got into this platform where I'm pushed beyond my comfort zone to get out there.
Up, yes.
Yeah, because one thing about me, when I try something, I want to be good at it, you know. I want to learn and I want to be good at it. So I had the challenge of also, I challenged myself, you know, Sarah, it's not about winning, but you can do your best here, and you not just give up or lay back. So I remember now going into Mr. and Miss University Kenya. We had universities from all over the country, from the coast, from Machakos, from Nairobi, from Kisumu, from Eldoret. And it was challenging because some of these models were really good. And some of them are also very talented and well-spoken. And some of them, I admit, also were very green. So you find yourself also trying to rank yourself and trying to value how far can you go. And it was a bit of an intimidating space, but I focused more on making connections, creating friendships. In as much as pageants are competitions, it's a chance to get networks that serve you for a very long time. Actually, some of the people that I went to the pageant competition, Mr. and Miss University Kenya in 2017, we are still friends, we still talk, we still help each other, you know, in terms of business, work, even as models. So I can say the biggest challenge for me was just trying to settle in and level up. So just being pushed out of your comfort zone to level up, because now this is a national competition. You have to improve yourself in many ways. And through the trainings as well, you get to learn more about yourself. I remember there was a time I cried because the pressure was getting really intense. But I can say that was one of the experiences that shaped me as a person. Yeah.
Great answers. what I wanted to find, get it from you, and I've got it, is 1 is networking, 2 is perseverance, 3, you just need to make sure you give your best. Yeah. It's always not winning in pageantry. You win and lose, but what do you get out of the contest? Yeah. A lot of people are doing pageantry now, but there's too much shortcuts. Today you're called for Miss ABCD, you dress and you're crowned. Yeah. I think probably we would not call it pageantry, probably a fashion show, because the 60% is not there. Yeah. I remember at Miss University, your first runners up, I was like, oh, this was my winner. And I keep telling my contestants, anybody within the top 5 in the question and answers, anybody can have the crown, because they're at that level. Probably the questions they didn't answer well, but most of them, the questions are almost the same. Yeah. It's the grace of God. I remember telling you, probably there's something God has saved for you bigger than what you're going on. You're going through this.
I remember your words.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you went for a bigger pageant. Yes. And I was watching you on KTN that day, and you won, and I was up the roof. She did it. This is what we were waiting for. Yeah. Just tell us about between Miss University and going to the next project. Yeah. Bigger than Miss University.
So, yes, I remember doing the competitions at Carnival Grounds for Mr. and Miss University Kenya 2017. And the competition was very tough. And this was actually my first time. I remember now telling, because when I did Miss JQuat, yes, my parents were not aware, because they knew I would never be interested in that. Yes. But then now Miss University Kenya, we had the newspapers featuring us. We were in the news. So I definitely had to sit my parents down and just tell them, so I'm doing this thing. It's an extracurricular activity. And now I had to break it down for them, because, sometimes the older generation are not really familiar when it comes to talent and growth in especially in modeling. Yeah. So I had to break it down to them and tell them, I'm a model now, and I'm doing this competition. It's actually on a national level. And they were very supportive. I remember my mom came all the way from home, my brother, and they were at Carnival. My friends also showed up, and I managed to scoop the first runner-up title, and I also had the best talent. So I wasn't really heartbroken, because I came out with almost 3 sashes, and it was a win for me, honestly. And I went home, and I thought that was the end of my journey as a model. And I was like, okay, I did well. Now let's focus into school, because again, my course is very demanding. And going into 3rd year now, I had to, focus and get the good grades. And I remember also telling my parents, so they were like, hey, so you did really well. So what next? I was like, no, that's it for me. And now the Miss Tourism pageant came, and they had all 47 counties participating. And my father is actually the one who put me on. Wow. He called me, I was in school, and told me, my daughter, I remember you did the pageant in university. Yes. And we're looking for girls who can represent our county in West Pokot for Miss Tourism. And then he tells me, Miss Tourism has been very big. I remember watching it very young, because they always feature it on TV. And I told my dad, no, it's school is getting tough. I don't think I can travel all the way back home, because I was in Nairobi. It's actually an 8-hour drive from Nairobi to West Pokot. But he told me, just come. It wouldn't hurt, just come and attend, because, in West Pokot, we don't have a lot of girls who can represent in the pageant space. So after persuasion from my dad, I went and I did the audition. And I went through, and then now again going through boot camp. And also again, another thing is West Pokot invested heavily on the pre-training, just as you said, because most of the girls need to be refined. So we went through a rigorous training, all of us, and through catwalk, through public speaking again. So I kept adding on to the skills that I already had gained during Miss Universities. And then now the county level competitions happened, and I won Miss Tourism West Pokot County, and they were so happy. Now it kept being like I'm stepping onto a new level. It's like stairs. So after the Miss Tourism West Pokot, now they tell me, there's national competitions. You have to go and compete with 47 other counties. And I remember my governor talking to me, the governor, Professor Lonyangapuo. And he's a very funny guy. So he came to me and told me, Sarah, you have to make sure those girls from Nairobi don't intimidate you, or Mombasa. You have to convince them that West Pokot is better than Mombasa. So that was a challenge, but I was willing to take it up. So I went for boot camp for the national competitions. We did a 2-week boot camp, but now this was on a competitive level because Miss Tourism Kenya is one of the biggest crowns in Kenya. And I put my best foot forward, and I'll say I really did not expect to win the crown, but just the attitude of doing your best and making friends, networking, because I went with the same attitude still, without the competitive spirit. And, sometimes in pageantry, people try sabotage because, the pressure of competition could really get to you. And you find people who can do anything for that crown because maybe they have obsessed about it, or this is their life goal, and nothing against them. But I think attitude is the one thing that is a game changer in every field, even in pageantry. So I can say I went in with the right attitude, and I enjoyed my time every single day. I have a memory of every single day and how I spent it, and the friends, the friends I made, the new experiences. I was just soaking it all up. And I was also very happy, very joyful, very jovial, taking every challenge as an opportunity. And during the final competitions, I remember the winning question and answer. You were given 40 seconds to talk about your county, including all 7 pillars of tourism. And I nailed it in 30 seconds.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
There are a few things I've picked. I've been in pageantry for almost 25 years. And when we started in 1999, we could not get ladies to contest, not because they didn't want, it's because their parents did not accept pageantry. They thought it's for that girl who has no purpose in society. They're either looking for the white man. There's a lot of myth about pageantry. 20 years later, we're seeing pageantry for small kids. We're seeing parents engaging their kids into pageantry. But yes, the most striking part is when I watch Miss World, most of them are either doctors to be doctors, lawyers, and stuff. But people still don't look at it that way because they confuse that fashion and pageantry and not knowing the difference. Pageant is about leadership, and you cannot be a beauty queen if you not articulate issues. But you can be a fashion model without even saying a word of English. So we're here today with a scientist mathematician who became a queen in her university. Parents engaged her to be in a national event. Now, lastly is government involvement. Most of the pageant government are not involved in national government. But you mentioned when now it got into government where government was sponsoring, so things were very easy.
Yes.
Because those guys who've gone to pageant, they can attest that it's very expensive to be in pageant, buying clothes, shoes, and stuff. Then you're talking to the highest person in terms of leadership in that. Probably if you're just that university student, you'd have never gotten a chance to meet with the governor.
The governor, yeah.
You're with the governor at this point, is saying, let's go and get this crown home. So I'm thinking that's what is missing. Our country have very many beautiful people, but the directors of pageantry franchises don't have that financial capability to be able to muscle support to take this girl to compete with Filipinos who are, I think they're possessed with pageantry, the South American, the Venezuelans, who, when you see them, apart from just on stage, you can see this is a winner. So you won Miss Tourism.
Yeah.
And where I was going to is definitely Miss Tourism does not enter at the national level. You're going to international level.
Yeah.
How was it the support? Did the government come in or the county kept because of their pride supporting you?
So I must say I was very blessed and lucky to just go into that space at that particular time, because the government then was by President Uhuru Kenyatta, and my governor was also Professor John Lonyangapuo. So I don't know about the current government, because I've ventured into being an independent entity, but then there was an office of the youth at the State House, which spearheaded the whole pageant competition. They were part of it. We also worked with the Ministry of Devolution. They were very much involved, and that was Honorable Wamalwa, and also Ababu Namwamba was also part of the support team. And I remember when I won Miss Tourism, they came all the way to West Pokot to just congratulate me. And then, without, too much, like I don't need to say too much, but my governor, Lonyangapuo, he was like a second father to me, because he funded everything when it came to the national competition, the clothes, the shoes. I didn't have to explain myself too much, because also the First Lady was very vigilant in pushing for us, because at that time, every First Lady was responsible for the Miss Tourism in their county. So also the First Ladies were like active. So the First Lady would say, we need shoes for my girl. We need a dress for her. She needs a glam team. She needs this, and all that. And they provided without question, and I'm very grateful for that. So after Miss Tourism, the support continued, and the governor also stepped in and made sure that I would get the proper treatment on the national level. I remember I was the winner, and then the first runner-up was Miss Nairobi. First runner-up Miss Laikipia, second runner-up Miss Nairobi. So also the governor from Laikipia was...
The current chairman for KRA.
Yes.
Already, yes.
Yeah, he was also very, very active with the girl. And also the governor for Nairobi was Mike Sonko, was also very active. Yes. So I remember on the panel discussion, all the governors now were fighting for the crown. Yes. It was no longer about us, but they were like, no, it's actually Nairobi. No, it's actually Laikipia, stuff like that. And it was very interactive, and it really boosted our morale. And I must say the level of support that we got changed everything. I've not seen a pageant that has gotten
support.
Yeah, that kind of support before. And I would really, really advocate for that, because it boosted my morale. And pageantry, what I would tell everyone to just speak up is, pageantry is not about beauty. It's actually mentoring the future generation of leaders.
Great.
Because everyone who goes through pageantry is going through a process to groom them into future leaders in whatever sector they go into. And anyone also who has gone through Mr. and Miss University are the big names in Kenya. All of them.
True.
Yeah.
I like the way you've put it. I don't know, the government of today, their push was youth, but something has gone astray somewhere. I met His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta when Miss University was leaving for Korea. And after a few minutes was like, oh, the girls are going to represent Kenya. They're not themselves. It's not Pkyach or Njeri. It's Kenya that they have the SASH.
That's an ambassador.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So says, okay, I'm going to give my personal contribution of $5,000. The girl was like, so he gave we went with Miss University and Miss Universe, Stacy. So she got 5,000 and Miss University got 5,000. And I was like, we're with Ezekiel Mutua when he was the CEO for Kenya Film Board. He was told, Mr. President was like, this is my own sponsorship, so you need to go and sponsor and see once the president has given you the authority, you can do in a check.
Yeah.
So I remember 5 people from my office were given first class Emirates to Korea. So everything was easy, and I think this is what government need to realize. What you said is training for leadership. I've had a lady sit there. She's now an American citizen. She was a former model. She did Miss Tourism. And she says when she got into the military, the boot camp that she had in pageantry really boosted her, because some of the ladies dropped because they're not used to that hardship. Probably not about the training, but the perseverance. You talked about the office of the youth. I think Walter Nyambane, the former comedian, was the personal status that really organized this stuff. We're missing that in this new government. We talked about governors. I remember in 2014, I was invited by Homeboys to help organize Miss Tourism Kwale. It was amazing because the minister now for Minister for Sports, Mvuria, was the governor there, and I remember him talking to me and saying, I understand and I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
And I remember we did the event from Lunga Lunga to Likoni, the entire Kwale, and the event changed the entire Kwale people, because what he did was during the event, he decided he's not charging anyone. Guys come to the studio. They had about 15,000 people coming to watch this beauty queen.
Yeah.
Kwale is like Pokot, because apart from the Likoni side, the Lunga Lunga, Mtuga, those are shags.
They're also very marginalized. Yeah.
And I think what government need to do is try and take in a little interest in pageantry. I keep telling guys, like Miss World, Miss Universe, the statistics says Miss World and Miss Universe, it's only compared to the opening and closing of the World Cup and Olympics. These events come after 4 years. Miss World and Miss Universe and pageantry come every year, so they can only be compared. So if government takes care of that, then we're able to be at that level where they're not using so much to market the country, but people will see Kenya at that level. We'll have better contestants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful about bringing government and now working towards. A lot of people have gone there and you're all alone. Your director cannot afford to go take you to the pageant. You struggle to get clothes, and it's not expensive to do pageantry. So I'm grateful at least of somebody who was there to help. Professor is a great man. I met him once or twice. I think we need such leaders who, I think because of Professor, they know how students go through the hardship, and now they can learn. So you win Miss Tourism, go for the international. Where did you go for the international? How did it happen?
So bouncing off what you just said about the support from the government, when I went for the Miss Tourism International competitions, it was happening in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And, you know, obviously you think about the flight tickets. You cannot recycle the clothes you used for the national competition. This is world class. And you're competing against the Philippines, Indonesia, Nicaragua, Mexico. Talk about all India, Britain,
the powerhouse, yes.
USA, you know, South Africa was there as well. And now these are ladies that have been groomed, and they grew up knowing that they were beauty queens, and they own it. It's part of who they are, and it's what they do. And I got support as well. I wasn't able to go to the, you know, the president's office, but again, the governor kept supporting, because I had a window period of 2 weeks from the national competitions to the flight to the world finals. So, you know, bureaucracy and gathering the money and stuff like that. So Prof just told me, just go. He paid flights for my mom to support me, because it was my first time out of the country and I was going there for a month. So he had the premonition and the thoughts that, you know, I cannot leave and go by myself. So even putting together a team to support this national winner is very important. So I had my mom, and I had the CEC for tourism in West Pokot. She was there. CEC for gender was also there. We had the CEC for, I think she was the CEC for finance, something of the sort. And all of them were women. And then now he put the chief of staff for the county government to represent him. To go in that capacity. So the support I got was really, really massive. And all these ministers were like my parents. They would come to our boot camp where I was. In fact, they all knew me. You know, when you go for pageant competitions, especially on a world platform, not everyone is able to remember your name. So they call you by your country. So they're like, Kenya. And they knew Kenya always has people coming to visit her. And most of them are from West Pokot, and they were traveling out of the country for the first time. And we also maintained our culture. So even when you look at the pictures, they were wearing the beads. They had the traditional skirts. They were walking all over Malaysia with our traditional outfits, and it was such a spectacle. They loved having them, and it was also a good experience for them, especially like someone like the CC for tourism would talk about our county, and that was also a very good way of marketing West Pokot. And we actually got guests from Malaysia traveling all the way to Kenya to find out where did these people come from.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's what government has not seen.
Yeah.
And we need to try and push this.
Yeah.
It just reminded me, in 2001, I went for Miss World. It was in Sun City, South Africa.
Yeah.
The only pageant that an African girl has won, Miss Agbani Derego, the Nigerian girl. The winner for Miss World, her name is Daniela Kimaru. Daniela Kimaru's dad was a councillor at the level of MCA now. Our worship, the mayor, Joa Kech, who's the level of the governor. Because of the pride that a councillor's daughter, councillors were known as just what were decided this pride must be celebrated. So he gave 10 tickets to the dad to give family and friends to travel to South Africa for the event. And mayor decided, I'll also accompany, just like now Sakaja accompanying a queen.
Yeah.
Then Kirubi, who was the Kenya manufacturer's chair, decided he's going to give 10 more tickets to the entourage that is going to South Africa. So Kirubi used to host at International Life House, it's Kirubi's house. So he used to host Air Malawi. So he got the tickets at half price. So Air Malawi said, the only thing we want is the governor of Nairobi to meet the governor of Blantyre, have free one night in Blantyre with all the entourage that's going to South Africa. So we're lucky to have 20 people. Rarely do you have even 2 people supporting you at the end. So this is just to say the governors need to up their game. I remember smart people like going back to tourism, when Deborah Sinepe was Miss Tourism in 2001.
Yeah.
Tuju was the Minister for Tourism. So what would happen is there's those tourism trade fairs in Berlin, I think, and a number of those countries. So Miss Tourism 1, 2, 3 would go to activate at the stand, the Kenyan stand.
Yes.
And that would bring a lot of visitors to Kenya.
Yes.
The last 4, 5, 10 years, we've not had those outgoing queens. What Kenya has done is taken the guys in the ministry. We're not saying it's bad, and they understand, but there's something about the brand stand. When you look at Rwanda in the Berlin Tourism Week, you find those tall looking, beautiful, elegant Burundians selling. They might not be able to articulate tourism, but they attract the people to just come to the stand and they can be sold.
Yes.
I think it gives the new girl at home, I want to be Miss Tourism because I want to go to Germany, I want to go to France, I want to go to Tokyo to represent my country and stuff like that. So national government, county government, we say we're supporting talent. This is the easiest way to support talent.
Exactly. Actually, because of their support during the final competitions, I came up first runner-up for Miss Tourism International.
Exactly.
Just culminating everything that I went through, I had a very easy time, and I was able to focus on, my goal. And actually coming first runner-up, I came to realize that I was one of the Kenyan beauty queens who've come that close to the crown. And this gives a chance for, more Kenyans going out there. The secret is just giving them support and helping them, assisting them in the whole process. It's not a one person's thing. You cannot achieve it by yourself. You definitely need a good team behind you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think I keep telling guys in football, apart from athletics, where Kenya is up there, it's very easy for us to bring the crown home. Because in 2002, Winnie Mwakwe was Miss Earth Kenya. Through Mrs. Kamunga, we need to celebrate. We need to give her flowers for what she's done in the industry. The winner for Miss Tourism International, Miss Earth, was the crown. So 9 months, Kenya held the crown as Miss Earth. Miss Earth is the 4th biggest pageant. So I don't see what can let us not bring the crown back home if things are done correctly. So you become first runners-up, you're back to the country, and all of a sudden I'm seeing you in big fashion. It's very hard, or they say, for transition from a beauty queen to
high fashion.
How did that happen?
Transitioning, I came back as Miss Tourism Metropolitan International. And, my job was actually on a global platform. Metropolitan means all the cities in the world.
Yes.
And I would promote tourism in all those cities. But now, the more benefit would have come to me with that crown if I had relocated to Malaysia. But then also remember that I was still in school. And I was going into my 4th year. And I wanted to get my degree and not just leave it hanging because I just had 1 year to finish. So I came back to the country, and then I remember I've been very interested in high fashion. And also going into the fashion world, high fashion is more rewarding than pageant. In as much as I went all the full 9 years in pageantry, I was still struggling to sustain my day-to-day needs. And I had to think of ways to monetize my talent. And the easiest way for me was high fashion because I fit the profile. I'm tall and they want really tall girls. So I did a casting. I tried several castings. I tried Face of Africa, and they had eight girls go to Nigeria and then get booked in Milan.
Or the few,
yeah.
Where Stacy was chosen.
Yeah, I was with Stacy in the same group, as well as
I remember it was a Norfolk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So most of the girls that we got selected actually made it to the international stage, but I did not have the enough, resources to go all the way, because you talk about flights, you talk about accommodations and all that. So I was lucky to meet Nala Sangare. She's a Senegalese makeup artist who was also the regional director for Africa. She's very big, based in Paris, France. And I talked to her and she told me, you know what, you have potential. And she was not an agent by then, but she did very quick to set up an agency just to represent me formally, because the challenge was, as Miss Tourism, I had gotten a chance to travel, say, to New York. And I did walk-ins into agencies and they liked me. They took my Polaroids. But then the one thing was, do you have representation? So again, that's another big aspect that models should know. Models from Africa, we need representation for someone to carry you into the global platform, because just to take care of you, sometimes people take advantage of the fashion industry and do things like human trafficking, or they underpay you, or someone just misuses you because you're coming from Africa and you're not very well versed with the market. So Nala held my hand. She's pro-African. She advocates for Africanism, and she exposed me. I went to Paris and I remember she was like, you know what, you don't have to pay accommodation. I was sleeping on her couch throughout the whole period, and I was really grateful because very few people can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I went for castings and I was able to do Paris Fashion Week, and I was selected for castings with Dior, with Chanel, with Givenchy. I did shows for Firdaus, which is a Russian brand. I did a show for Was, which is an American brand. And I was very happy. It was a dream come true for me because, first of all, many girls who would go to Paris or Milan or those platforms, I stayed there for less than a month. And I got all these chances. And many people would stay even for a year before they're seen. So I would say that my journey has been very rewarding. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I meet a lot of models and say they're freelance, they don't care about management and stuff like that. You've just heard from the horse's mouth. It's like any other game. You must have somebody to hold your hand who's been there. It's like football. You cannot be in another team and try to play for another team. You must come and be signed by an agent and stuff like that. So we need to learn that professionalism in high fashion. You need to get somebody who will hold your hand to help you move to the next step. Wachana hii mambo ya shilingi mbili. You heard she was in pageantry. Pageantry is about leadership. It's about servantshipness.
Yes.
It's not about making money. You might make money because of the activities you're doing, but I think people are in for making money, and we've learned from our leadership where there's no servantshipness in leadership anymore.
Yeah.
But if you want to make good money, you must be on the runway, and the things they look for, you must be a moss to be able to be in Milan or Paris. If you're not that height is very important and key for the high fashion. So thank you very much. But before you leave, you're really in fashion, you're back home and getting into events. I met you after many years and we had a discussion, and a very important day, 8th of March.
Yes.
Which is 2 days from now.
Yeah.
You're doing something very big that you learned out there. Tell us about this Fashion Week.
So I ventured into entrepreneurship after graduating, and right now I know the challenges that many models are facing in terms of, just getting gigs and also inclusivity. And the main goal for having this fashion event, it's called Mawimbi Fashion Weekend. It's happening on March 8th and 9th, which we will be celebrating International Women's Day. And the focus here is to give a platform for sustainable brands in Kenya, because we're also pushing for sustainability, looking at brands that make products for women, by women. And our lineup is very interesting. We have from big designers to even the upcoming designers. We are giving opportunities for them. And it's going to be held at Mawimbi Seafood Restaurant, one and only seafood restaurants here in Nairobi, and the best seafood restaurant in the world.
In the world?
Yes.
Not even in India, in Kenya?
Yeah, this is verified information.
Wow.
They actually have an award for that. And it's a luxurious setting. You've seen many celebrities going to Mawimbi to film even their shows. So we're giving people a chance to experience a setting that exudes luxury, as well as gives an opportunity to celebrate fashion and sustainable brands, and also celebrate women. So it's very indulging. And it's also a cross-cultural experience, because I always advocate for culture. I'm also bringing a touch of culture in there. So we'll have a red carpet fashion gala, as well as a VIP pre-launch party, where you get a chance to network with all the big individuals in the fashion industry, for young and upcoming models, and even for established models. Because the thing here is, I feel like in Kenya, we need a community in the fashion space. Many people are doing their own things here and there, but then we need to create a community, because I believe when we move as a unit, we grow much faster than competing on the same level. We need to think about a global perspective, and not just think about, what Nairobi has to offer. We need to come out as Kenyans and bring our culture into perspective. So that's the main purpose of the event. It's ticketed, and our tickets are available on hustlesasa.com. That's Mawimbi Seafood Restaurant.hustlesasa.com. And I must admit the tickets are a bit pricey. For the full weekend, our ticket goes for 18,000, and that's 2 days.
Yeah.
But then I would challenge you just this week before our event, just go to Mawimbi Seafood Restaurant and try ordering just one plate of seafood. It would go way above that.
Wow.
But we're offering a 6-course meal all day.
The 2 days, for the 2 days. Okay.
For Sunday, it's the 6-course seafood menu, because we have the seafood tasting at that time. But on Saturday, we also have bitings for you. So, and also we have refreshments, we have entertainment, as well as a fashion show. So I must say that we are not looking at mostly the price, but we're also trying to curate an event that also exudes luxury, and it's definitely value for money. Wow. So I would advise everyone to make a point of coming. Our ticket for Saturday is 6,500, and Saturday is the networking event. We made it half the price, so that people who are interested in investing in coming to get to know who's who in the fashion business, they can come on Saturday and experience that. But people who are looking more into the luxurious and the glamorous part, they can come on Sunday and have the 6-course seafood tasting menu, as well as the fashion show, as well as the entertainment, the red carpet. We even have paparazzi, something that has not been seen before in Kenya. We're trying to level up and give it a global look.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
Beautiful. Kenyans, you've had the first seafood fashion week at Mawimbi this month on the 8th. There's a few days. This Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, Friday.
This weekend.
Saturday and Sunday, yes. Yeah. I realized this is the time for fashion weeks. I was looking at one of my young model, Takaniro, doing the walk last night at Milano Fashion Week. So you're very timing with the international. You want
exactly
to get Kenya into the
We're
global.
moving with the global energy. And because I've also worked in Paris, I've worked in Milan, I must say that we're still very young in the Kenyan industry in terms of relating fashion to luxury and boosting the industry to where it's supposed to be, because fashion is up there when it comes to all the major industries in the world. But in Kenya, fashion is like the least.
Under the table. Just before we close, there's a father, there's a mother, there's a young girl who want to get into pageantry. What would you advise? What would you advise them? Look at the camera. Just talk to my people. Talk to my viewers.
Okay, so to parents and young people, I would give you just a short story about my personal journey. Being very young, being aged between 7 to 15 years old, my parents would always make me stand in front of the living room and speak to them and address them and tell them how my day was and tell them what I want for tomorrow. And that was my journey into going into the pageant space. And it has groomed me to become the person I am. Everyone tells me I'm very well spoken. My confidence can never be shaken. My self-esteem is up there. As a Black woman, we need that. As young African people, we need that to be instilled in our next generation. So I would advise parents to be very intentional and very objective in grooming the talents of their kids. Support your child if you can notice that this child is confident and they have a lot of things to offer. Take them to a pageant competition. Induce in them the competitive spirit, because this is a world where, winner gets all. Let's try and keep a winning mentality in our kids and also instill the values of being good and being kind and also giving back to the society. These are the core values of pageants. So I would advise parents to know that pageants are not a bad thing, as there's misconceptions about that, but it's really good, and I'm a testimony to that. And let's set your child up for success in future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Catch 2025 SASH STYLE Season 2 is hot, bigger and better. You have listened to Pkyach from West Pokot to Milano, to New York, to Malaysia. This will take you places. We thank you for viewing. See you next week, Wednesday, for another Too Hot for TV. Keep watching. Stay still. Bye. Good night.